Hey, this is Ryan McCrae, and I am the ADHD nerd. A lot of people talk to me about procrastination. It is literally the number one question I get all the time. Ryan, how do I stop procrastinating? And before I get to that, just so you know what I'm reading this week, I'm reading Sapiens, um, A Brief History of Mankind. It is excellent. It's a heavy book. The paper is very, super swanky and glossy, and I dig it. Um, and my goal is a chapter a day. And I just finished the Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. I actually saw him speak in Chicago. It's just on his bullet journal method, his philosophy. I know people can be like, why do you have to read a whole book on bullet journal? It's super quick. You don't even have to read the chapters, sequentially. You can kind of skip around. But I've been bullet journaling a lot, and he even signed it. Boop. So, yeah. So, those are the books I'm enjoying. So, back to procrastination. I get a lot of people who say, I make a to-do list, and I don't do it. Or I just don't get around to it. I put it off, and I can only do it when it is an emergency. So, they, file their taxes April 15th, and they rush. Or, to get the birthday gift, they get it on the way, and they run into difficulty. And I was reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. Highly recommend. And something he said was, complete actions like it is the person you want to be. Complete actions. Like it's the person you want to be. And I'm paraphrasing that. But so if you procrastinate on working out, you might be like, I'm just not a person who works out, but I'm going to go work out. I'm not a person who writes. I'm not a writer, but, I've got to get this done. I'm not a person who blank, but then I have to do it. And what happens is it causes this cognitive dissonance in your head. I'm not a writer, but I'm going to write. And so it's easy for you to default boop, boop, on not being a writer. Very easy. So you just don't write because you're like, well, I'm not a writer, but I'm going to write. But instead say, you know what? I'm a person who works out. I'm going to go work out. I'm the person who is a writer. I'm going to write. I'm the person who keeps a clean apartment. This is how you do it. And I find when I struggle and I don't want to get the dishes in the dishwasher or I don't want to go to my gym, I say to myself, well, actually, I'm a person who works out. So this is what I do. I'm a person who keeps a clean house. This is what I do. I'm a person who hands stuff in on time. So I have to do it. This is... And I find there's this a mystical barrier that starts to shrink because I'm adding my identity to the process. I'm a person who does these things, therefore I'll do them. I've also heard this phrase, and I wish I could tell you the person who said it. Act yourself into a right way of thinking. Don't think yourself into a right way of acting. You have to act yourself into a right way of thinking. So, you've got that task you don't want to do. You have that project you don't want to start. Be the kind of person who does it. Decide to be that person and then do it. And I tell people this all the time, and I'll share more about this later. You're never going to have the right app. You're never going to have the right journal. You're never going to have the right to-do list, the right pen, the right paper, the right attitude, the right motivation. You can literally get something done with zero motivation. People ask me, how did you do a blog? How did you do all this? I grinded a lot of it. Grinded it out. Writing is sometimes great, and I am just on fire, and sometimes it is just a slog. But I do it every day. Every day I have to write and or research, but writing is the primary thing. And yeah. And maybe we take today and decide, you know what? I'm not a person who procrastinates, and I'm going to get this done. And you might feel some resistance to that. Be like, you are! Your third grade teacher said you resist. Just say it again. Say it again. Move yourself into action. So no tricks or today. Just an overall philosophy of decide on the person you want to be and act like that person. And that's it. And I've been Ryan McCrae, and I'm the ADHD nerd. For more on this, you can head to my blog at theadhdnerd.com. I'd love to see you there, and tell your friends.